Hey everyone, hope you're all well. My name is Heng Sure. Today is, the date today, we are in February. Today is the 14th. Oh, this is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. February 14th, and we are about to begin our weekly series of wonderful stories about the life of our grand teacher, Master Empty Cloud. So if that's what you come to hear, you're in the right place. Don't you move a dad burned inch, as they say. So glad you're here. Now, today, Elaine is going to be requesting Dharma. So I'm going to ring my bell 3 times and make 3 half bows, and you're invited to bow along with me, and we will proceed from there. So let's do that now. Let's make 3 half bows. Here we go. First bow, Yi Wen Xun, Sai Wen Xun, Sam Wen Xun. Okay, Elaine, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and begin.
恭请大德圣人听，为此法会及一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly will lie non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahari samya sanputoshi.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahari samya sanputoshi.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Okay, Elaine, thank you so much. Appreciate that. We will move right along here to acknowledge country. We respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 那就说我们恭敬承认与冈北语族的贡布马里人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。 bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共熏其法界和平，利益报贪恼厚德。Alrighty, thank you so much, Elaine. Appreciate that. We are going to proceed here. If anyone, let me say, 如果各位愿意听一种流利的普通话翻译，你的软件都有办法。那个右下角有一个小地球，就 interpretation， 那里都会找到 Chinese 就好了。Okay, for those who would like to hear a Chinese translation, it's down in the right-hand bottom corner of your software, Zoom. It says interpretation. There's a globe symbol down there. Click on that, you'll find Chinese. That'll get you what you need. Also, if you would like a Vietnamese translation of today's lecture, go to the chat box. You'll find a link that'll take you right there. If you would like to request Dharma in a future lecture, send an email to our fearless corresponding secretary, Chen Yu. She will set you up. So, Happy New Year, everybody. 新年快乐. Hope all is auspicious for you this coming year of the fire horse. Oh my goodness. Not only is it year of the fire horse, but there is astrologically, there's all kinds of things happening on that same day, on the 17th. Both Saturn and Uranus are conjunct at the first degree of Aries, where things begin, the creative degree. And there's a new moon and an eclipse happening at the same time. So lots of changes ahead, dramatic changes. All right, so the year of the fire horse. Happy New Year, everybody. We here in Australia, I wonder if we could ever have a year of the kangaroo. What do you think? What kind of a year would that be? Lots of up and downs, right? Lots of bouncing around. So, yeah. So, okay, let's see here. I should also mention that I will be traveling to Singapore and Malaysia in March. So within a few short weeks, I'll be there. We don't have the schedule posted yet. Let's see. I want to, first of all, while we're talking about events, let's show this one. This takes place in 2 days here in Gold Coast. So anybody who is traveling to the Gold Coast, on Monday evening, we have a Buddha blessing ceremony, candle lighting, performance by our local talents, and lots of excitement. There will be a Medicine Buddha repentance on the actual day, and a dedication of merit in the Rebirth Hall and the Long Life Hall. So there is lots of activities here. Here we go. Let's see here. Okay, so we won't worry about that. I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone who is here. That includes friends in Ukiah, our co-hosts today. Alec is in Singapore, Amara is in Malaysia, Aurora is in Sydney, Barb and Ernie are in Talmadge, Brian is in Campbell, and Celeste is in Hong Kong, and Charlotte is here. Connie is here in Santa Clara. 𝗥𝗲𝘁𝘂𝗿𝘁 are in Alameda, Duke Leban's in Montreal. Florence is in the Gold Coast. Hi, Florence. She was here last week physically. Jan is in Oregon, Jane's in Berkeley, Jason's in Northern California, Jensen's in Jakarta. Jin Sure is listening in from CTDB. Joy is here from Calgary, Liz from New York City, Chinatown, Loy in Singapore, Mai in the Bay Area, Michael's in St. Petersburg, the other side of the country. Mingfang's in Taipei. Let's see here, Wan Long, Peggy's in Calgary, Richard's in Sydney, Tina's in Oklahoma. Let's see here. Then Tam is in San Leandro, Valerie's in Ukiah. Hi, Val. Bring your 𝗔𝘂𝘁 friends along. These are important lectures. Vera's down in Brazil, Sao Paulo. Glad you're here. Wumbo is in Ukiah. Where's Sophie? Willie is here. Xingfei and Bernie are in Sydney. Willie's in Virginia. Okay, then let's see. Ding Yuqing is in Vancouver. We switch over to the other side of the planet. And as I was preparing, just to give a sense, China is such a big place, and our stories are set in China, that I'm enjoying researching where Master Empty Cloud traveled to places that I've never been. I have not been many places in southern China, and he's leaving, in today's lecture, he leaves the southwest and goes to the southeast. So as we see who is here from China, we can kind of get a sense of the size, the physical size of China. So, 我们的朋友今天就有从哈尔滨、从北京、从山东、从天津，那都是东北方，辽宁也东北，悉尼天津、哈尔滨、西安陕西省，北京、苏州、安徽浙江青天陕西宝鸡，还有福建泉州，这是第一位从南部来的。吉林也是东北，黑龙江也是东北，张家口也是北方，河北。包头那内蒙古不用讲就是最北方。黑龙江、吉林、北京都是从北边来的人北方。河北唐山、北京、昆明，那就是四川。北京、哈尔滨、浙江、江苏、南京，江苏南京，什么地方？海南，那是最南部。珠海也是南部。哈尔滨、鸡西、黑龙江。哈尔滨、广东，那是南部。今天靠近训兰和尚靠近广东。江苏、河南 and 黑龙江。Okay, so we know that the great majority of the Chinese listeners are from the Northwest, way up there, way north. But Master Empty Cloud today, it's the feeling that you get is his mission, his work in Yunnan province, in China's farthest southwest, is over, has come to an end. Excuse me. Whoop, big sneeze. And you know that, so I'm ahead of myself. Let's let the text tell our story for us, okay? Here we go. Picture biography, episode number 170. So we have 30 some to go. It's Fu Xianggang, Zhuan Gushan, going to Hong Kong and Gu Mountain. Here's the Chinese text we'll look at. 丁卯88岁，建有名钟楼等工程。戊辰89岁，为木佛像款，同王九龄居士再去香港。时陈真如主凹月正，派远接公之广州。于白云山，陈拟留公主六宫住持南华寺，重振草溪道场，供𝗘𝘀𝘁，回闽至鼓山，讲经币，复原往拜舍利，朝普陀。Okay, lots of travel, lots of movement. A bell tower for deceased spirits and other construction projects were completed in 1927 during the master's 88th year. The following year, in order to raise money for the making of Buddha images, the master went to Hong Kong, accompanied by Upasaka Wang Jiulin. At that time, Chen Zhenru, head of the Guangdong provincial government, sent his representative to escort the master to Canton. They passed by Baiyunshan, and later Mr. Chen urged the master to stay and become the abbot of Nanhua Monastery to restore the famous Bodhimanda at 𝗟𝗂𝘁𝘂𝗿. The master declined and returned to Drum Mountain in Fujian, where he explained a sutra. When that was completed, he bowed to the Buddha's sharira at King Ashoka Temple and made a pilgrimage to Putuoshan, Potala Mountain. Lots of movement, lots of moving around. Here's the illustration. We see him looking out. There's a monastery in the distance underneath a mountain. There's a body of water, and there's a city down below the foot of this mountain. He is in a pavilion, accompanied by two lay people, looking out at this ocean scene. Okay. Let's take a look. So the bell tower for deceased spirits, that's Youming Zhonglou. I've never heard of a Youming Zhonglou, but I can imagine that when we do our precepts for the deceased, that's called the Youming Jie. I suspect this is based, it's a piece of architecture, a tower where when you ring the bell, the sound reverberates through the hells and through the realms of darkness. King Yama's realm, where spirits are having their next rebirth determined, right? Kind of like a holding area. And probably when the bell rings, you recite 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗁 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗁，right? May this bell sound travel throughout the Dharma realm to awaken all beings who can hear it. Probably something like that. So this is still where? This is still Yunnan. He's 88 years old. He has been in Yunnan for years now, with all of the disasters he's been through, all of the political uprisings that he personally subdued, all of the bloodshed that he prevented, all of the monastery building that he's accomplished. All that stuff has happened out in Yunnan province based on his vow to reform the corrupt Buddhist institutions there. When he first arrived, passing through, he was refused entrance into a monastery when he had nearly drowned. He was wounded, he was freezing, he was starving, and the monk refused him entry. Now, in the Buddha's Sangha, if you are a precept-holding monk who can prove kind of you have a Buddhist passport, it's called your 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗂𝘁, your precept certificate. If you have that, when you find a 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝘁𝗂𝗍, a monastery, a public monastery, they have to let you in, so you can at least spend the night. Well, he got refused, and he had to shiver, hungry and wounded, nearly drowned, underneath a bandstand in some tiny town. And this is the famous Three Steps, One Bow monk who has, traveled with the Empress Dowager. Master Empty Cloud is no pushover, and yet the monks there were so arrogant and so blind that they just said, "Go away, don't bother us," right? So with that treatment, he made a vow. He said, "I'm going to put things right. I'm going to reform this corruption." And he set about doing it, created a monastery where all Sangha members were welcome. And not only that, but he prevented bloodshed. He prevented that monastery from being burnt by the warlord who he converted into a Buddhist. He intervened with families that were dysfunctional, saved a woman from suicide, restored her wealth, brought the 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗃𝗃 to Jizushan, all of these incredible accomplishments while he was in Yunnan province. All right, that time is up. And look what he's doing. He's still going to Hong Kong to see if he can't solicit some offerings for Buddha images in Yunnan. All right? So, goes to Hong Kong. Well, guess what happens? When he gets to Hong Kong, they want to keep him. They know who he is. They don't want him to go back. So, various lay people, here's a head of the government, Chen Zhenru, says, oh, go to Guangdong because you're going to be close to the famous Nanhua Monastery. Where is Nanhua Monastery? That's the Six Patriarchs Monastery, 𝗘𝘀𝘁. The central sutra of the Chan school is located at Nanhua Monastery. That's where all of the wonderful stories of the Six Patriarchs took place. So he says, oh, we want to make you abbot there. Nanhua Monastery has fallen on hard times. It's decrepit. There's no monks there, the buildings need rebuilding, etc. If you are there with your name, you will attract offerings and artisans and workers and monks, and Buddhism will grow again in Guangdong and Guangzhou. So Master Rinpoche Cloud says, you know what? The conditions are not right. No, I won't do it. He looked at the situation, probably the qian yin hou guo, the prior causes and the later results, and said, nope, I'm going to go to Gushan in Fujian and explain sutras, Jiangjing. Now, this is further north along the coast of southern China. So that was done, and then he went further up the coast to Wangsi, where Ningbo, and from Ningbo he went out to Putuoshan, where what? That's where his 3 steps 1 bow pilgrimage began. So full circle at age 88 from his tour all around China, including Malaysia, Penang, including Thailand and Burma and all these places, and Tibet as well. So back home, back to the east. Shifu's verse, 为目善缘摄山川普令同伦众福天有缘聚在无漏果当面错过万劫难 In order to create wholesome conditions, he crossed the mountains and rivers, so that everyone could plant a field of blessings. By nurturing such affinities, beings gain the reward, free from outflows. You miss this opportunity, it'll be hard to meet again through 10,000 eons. Okay, great poem. Shifu just takes these 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 28 words, turns them into something memorable that you could actually sing, probably. Put it to music. All right, take a look here. Here we go. Yunnan, out here. Here's where he is. Is Jizushan. That's where where Master Empty Cloud has been spending the last couple of decades rebuilding Buddhism. Yunnan. There it is right there. Yunnan. Okay, so he says, I need to go to where the money is if we're going to create opportunities for Buddha images to come. So where does he go? Xianggang. Where is Xianggang? Here. Here's Hong Kong. Right on the coast. Way down in the south. All right, so he goes to Hong Kong and looks around and sees what the conditions are. And somebody says, oh, you know, you're in Hong Kong. The governor of Guangzhou says, I want you to go up and become the abbot of Nanhua here. Nanhua is above, directly north of Hong Kong and above Guangzhou. What was that like? So this is here's the landscape. That's Shaoguan, the town that has grown up. Southern Chinese landscape. Nanhua. Right. And this is not the north. The north is dry. This is the south. People are familiar with travel by water, boats, right? Culture of poetry and food and music and refinement back in the day. So now, of course, China is flourishing everywhere. All right, so that is, let's see here, Shaoguan, you get a feeling for it, right? Here you are. Okay, now he says, nope, not going to do that one. I'm going to go to Gushan. I'm going to go up here to Gushan Yongquan. We'll find out about Yongquan. But here is Gushan. This is where I'm going to go. It's a little further up the coast. I'm ahead of myself here, but this you get the sense. All right, so I don't want to go too quickly. So this is what? Fujian. This is Fujian province. Just for reference, here's Taiwan. This is Taiwan. Here is Fujian province. Also, so where were we? We started out in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is here. Guangzhou, Hong Kong is an island and the mainland and something called the New Territories. So for reference sake, Shifu's main monastery is out here on Daiyushan in this area. So there's Guangzhou. Here is Flower of the South, Nanhua Monastery, Nanhua. And he says no to that. He travels up the coast. Here's Quanzhou, Zhangzhou. Here is Fujian. So he says, I'm going to go to Gushan. And he goes to Gushan, Drum Mountain. He explains a sutra here. And then he says, actually, I want to go up past Wenzhou, past Taizhou, to Ningbo, to King Ashoka Monastery. This is where he says, I'm going to go so I can bow to the Buddha's sharira. This is Ayu Wangsi, King Ashoka Monastery, which, interestingly, Master Empty Cloud burned his finger here. This was while he was still in the East. He saw his mother after bowing 1,000 bows a day here at King Ashoka Temple. This is the Fangshengchi, the liberating life pond. Master Empty Cloud, by the side of this pond, had the experience of a dragon coming down and giving him a ride up to the Pure Land so we could see his mother. So we've been here before in this series of lectures of biography, Master Empty Cloud. What is this? This is this is the famous Buddha's sharira. This is the place where the Buddha's sharira is actually there, and you can bow and have experiences. And we have done so in the past. Okay, that's King Ashoka Temple. And it says, where else did he go? He went to Putuoshan. Putuoshan is where his pilgrimage began. That's here. If you want to go to Putuoshan, you have to go first to Ningbo and take a ferry out to Putuoshan. It's a long boat ride into the East China Sea, because Putuoshan is an island. It's a series of islands, in fact. We want there. 法语寺 Putuoshan. See photos? We will. Here we go. Putuoshan is one of the 4 famous mountains, right? The 4 holy mountains of Chinese Buddhism. Putuoshan and 𝗘𝗀𝘁𝗂𝘁 and 𝗬𝗂 and Buddhism. It's the current abbot at Putuoshan is a very canny, very capable businessman, and has done a really good job of rooting out. Putuoshan at one point in recent memory was kind of like Disneyland, and it has been cleaned up a lot. Here's the 𝗘𝗀𝘁𝘂𝗿, the 9-dragon wall. Putuoshan is where our teacher, this is an incredibly beautiful garden. Our teacher took the precepts at Fayusi, Putuoshan. So this Namo Guanxi and Pusa. This is a place, if you have the opportunity to visit a holy mountain in China, Putuoshan is a good choice. Now it's really worth it, they say. It's much closer to the sacred. 20-some years ago, they said, Guanyin is left. They said it's not sacred anymore. Now they say, here it is, 𝗘𝗀𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗃, the Buddha land of ocean and sky. So Putuoshan is regained a lot of its sacred energy. I learned that Fayusi is here. Let's see, Putuoshan. Here it is. Fayusi is here. Yeah, right here. Here's Fayusi, where Master Hua, our teacher, took the precepts. So actually, it's Puto and Loche, this island too. Puto Loche, Potala mountain. This is Locheshan, much smaller, obviously, but there are incredible monasteries over here. Putuoshan 就是这个, right? This is it. Temples all over it, and it is an amazing Buddhist community here. Let's see if we can look at the, here we go. Fayusi. Here we are. See photos. This is Dharma Rain, Fayusi. Really has the flavor of ancient monasteries, because it's out in the ocean, right? It's on an island. This is, it's such a sacred site that that's where Master 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 began his pilgrimage. It was razed during the Cultural Revolution, just decimated, but some skillful, far-seeing monks rebuilt it. So it's very much worth a pilgrimage. Okay, so now you get a sense of what it means when Master 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏 says, I went to Hong Kong, Canton, 𝗏𝗂𝘁 Nanhua Monastery, Drum Mountain, King Ashoka Temple in Ningbo, and Putuoshan, right? Lots of traveling. Okay, number 2, are we ready? Here we go. 就任涌泉寺住持 becoming abbot of Bubbling Spring Monastery at age 90. At age 90, he decides he's going to take on a new job. There you go. Tough bones, huh? 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝘂𝗿正月在户启程回古山李祖塔墓有民主席监海军部长杨佑京树桩与前任主席方声涛率官绅僧俗居士护法等柳公住持古山文习帐席公以古山乃惕然出地缅怀祖德义不容辞子难推诿岁运就任整理四风 The master was 90 years old in 1929. During the first month of that year, he left Shanghai for Drum Mountain, where he bowed to the stupas of the patriarchs. Yang Youjing, known as Shuzhuang, I guess, the chief executive of Fujian province, secretary of the navy, and Fang Shengtao, the former chief executive, headed a group of public officials, scholars, monks, laymen, and other protectors of the Dharma to urge the master to become chief abbot of Drum Mountain. This was where the master first shaved his head and donned the monk's robes. As he recalled with strong sentiment his virtuous predecessors, he could not neglect his duty or retire from his responsibility. He accepted their request and set about restoring the monastery to its former glory. Okay, so now let's get a sense of this. He was out in Yunnan province, where just with his dignity, with his reputation, with his charisma, and with his virtue, he restored Buddhism in the far southwest. Basically, it was pretty wild out there. But he brought the 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗶𝗄. He brought a jade Buddha by showing the workers who were on strike for trying to extort more money out of him that he was stronger than any of them, this skinny old monk. And he harvested the rice with the Sangha when the farmers were afraid to go out in the fields for fear they'd be forcibly conscripted into the military. He buried the dead after diphtheria outbreaks. All of these things just single-handedly leading the way to the restoration of Buddhism's glory in Yunnan. And now he comes out to do fundraising in the east of China, and he gets drafted to start over. Gushan is a famous monastery where for hundreds of years, if you wanted to get the precepts, you went to Gushan to get the precepts. That was the tradition since the Ming Dynasty or earlier. Since China's difficulties, China was called 𝗟𝗄𝘃𝗃, the sick man of Asia, during the time that the British came in to turn China into a source of revenue by peddling opium that they grew in their colonial farms in India. And they peddled it in China and forced the Chinese to buy their opium. And the Chinese tried to overthrow this colonization, and twice the British went to war. There were 2 opium wars to keep the money flowing back to the UK. It's a really dark time both for the oppressor and the oppressed. So China suffered tremendously during that time, and Buddhism along with it. So now the opium wars are over, the dynastic cycle has ended, the republic is struggling, there's a civil war in China. This is 1929. And yet Buddhism, because of the virtue of this incredible Buddhist leader, now has a chance to revive. So he says, you know, this is the place where I became a monk. To see it in ruins hurts my heart. I accept. I will become the abbot and will go through all of the hassles of rebuilding a monastery at age 90. Why not? Nothing else to do, might as well cultivate. So, 涌泉古刹唐代兴，高僧龙象度群蒙，云公飞喜住石鼓，整顿宗风教化行。Ancient Yongquan Monastery was built during the Tang-dynasty. There, noble monks, dragons and elephants, took multitudes across. Master Yun, the wandering monk, settled in at the stone drum and restored the school's renowned lineage through his virtue and cultivation. That sums it up. Wow, just tireless, right? At age 90, you might think he could beg off and say, let some younger monks go. I have to look in the mirror here too. So, Gushan is, this is 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗂𝗿 here. This is 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝘁, that's not it. But we get a sense this is Zhejiang. Here is Wenzhou. This is down south, Yongquan. Okay, here's what it looks like. Oh my goodness. This, I'm sure this is what it looked like when Master 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗂𝗿 arrived, only it wasn't so clean and tidy. It was ruins back then. Yongquan, bubbling spring. And mind you, between 1929, when he started, it's also gone through the Cultural Revolution. So those 10 years of, they call it the China's Holocaust. So these images here, these photos are taken 2 years ago. These images are all essentially brand new. Can you imagine what they look like when they were the Tang-dynasty originals? Master 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗂𝗿 had to rebuild those, and then those that he rebuilt were again trashed during the Cultural Revolution. But it's been, this is one of the monasteries that was slated by the Chinese government for assistance and energy to rebuild it because of its cultural heritage and its value. Just magnificent place. Hold on here. There we go. 万福来朝. So if you, 10,000 blessings, myriad blessings are coming your way. Wujin Shimen, okay, the endless rock gateway. Look at the architecture here, incredible. So, very powerful, sacred space. Been there for 1,000 years before. It was built in the Tang-dynasty, so that's 1,400 years prior. But Master 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗂𝗿 took the, it was essentially in ruins when he got there. That's the front door. Yeah, now you're talking. Here. Southern China. Gushan Yongquan. Yeah. Atmosphere, much? 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗿𝘂, aware of kindness done for you, you want to repay that kindness. Liberating life pond with turtles.
这是鼓山灵泉寺的放生池。
我是梵元素许愿爱，五连，我是许愿素，看吧。
All right. Now, let's take a look at what our, see if we get some color out of our Nianpu. Let's see here. So, let's see if I can do this. This is, so, 7月江中正就任国民军总司令。统兵北伐，9月张牧昌，11月张九江，12月国民政府北咸武汉。Okay, there's English down below, which goes, in July, Chiang Kai-shek assumed office as Commander-in-Chief of the National Revolutionary Army and led the troops in the Northern Expedition. So at this point, in 29, the warlords have been fighting, and Chiang Kai-shek emerged on one side, was elected commander-in-chief of the army, started going north. He took Wuchang, took Zhejiang, and then they moved their capital north to Wuhan. So this is central China. Okay, then, let's see here. 10年仍在四川界讲经坐禅，机甲见典狱方舍未经之功，又见游明大。Okay, so this is when he's 88. So this 2 years prior to the move. In this year, ordinations were transmitted, sutras were lectured, Chan meditation was practiced. Construction continued on various halls and residential buildings for those that hadn't been completed, and they built a Yoming bell tower for the netherworld, for the dark realms. It was newly built. Okay, let's see here. What happened in that year? 4月国民政府监督南京，6月张作霖在北京称大元帅，12月国民政府与苏联绝交。Wow. Okay. The national government established a capital in Nanjing. Zhang Zuolin said, I am the Grand Marshal in Beijing, so still more civil war. The national government severed diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union. And guess who established diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union? Mao Zedong and the communists. So. Okay, you don't have to translate that. Okay, Cliff, would you, this is longer, I'm going to stumble. You want to read this, please?
为穆圣相款与王九龄安禅居士同行至香港，时陈真如明书主乐正，派员接至广州驻颐养院，同游白云山能仁寺。陈逆请于驻曹溪南华，却至厦门，转福州回鼓山讲经。毕赴阿育王寺拜舍利，再朝普陀。文治和尚陪至沪。 驻香山庵荣光寺，秋末鼓山达公和尚圆寂，派人到沪商事，以岁逼除，在沪过年。
Okay, so in order to raise funds for sacred images for Yunnan, I traveled together with layman Wang Jiulin to Hong Kong. Chen Zhenru was in charge of Guangdong's administration, so he was the political leader. Sent representatives to escort us to Guangzhou, where we stayed at this place. Together, we went to Nanhua Monastery on Baiyun Shan, Master Empty Cloud his job is to raise money, but he has to travel around and see where the affinities are. Mr. Chen, the Guangdong political head, said, please go to Nanhua at 𝗟𝘂𝘁𝗂𝗍 and be the abbot there. I said, nope. Then I went to Xiamen, transferred to Fuzhou, and returned to Gushan to lecture on sutras. After completing the lectures, I went to 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗁 to venerate the relics, and again made the pilgrimage to Putuo. Okay, here's the key word. Did it again. So here's in the Nianpu, in the autobiography, he acknowledges that this is his return to Putuoshan. Venerable Wang Jiulin accompanied me to Shanghai, where I stayed at Xiangshan Hermitage, Longguang Monastery. At the end of autumn, Venerable Da of Gushan died. Somebody came to Shanghai to discuss these things and bring it up. Now there's an opening at Gushan, so the year's end was approaching. I stayed in Shanghai to pass the new year. Okay. So I want to talk a bit about the sharira at King Ashoka Monastery. I've told these stories before, but they bear repeating because they're just amazing. People know that King Ashoka, 300 years after the Buddha's nirvana, took the many sharira left behind in the Buddha's ashes after his cremation and sent them all around the world. King Ashoka did an amazing job of propagating the Dharma. He established edicts. He made India a vegetarian sanctuary for animals, wildlife sanctuary. So these sharira traveled all over the world, and there are a few still left, that we know authentically are the Buddha's sharira, relics of the Buddha's own body. One of them made its way to King Ashoka Monastery in Ningbo, and the see here, got a clue. For many hundreds of years, it was known that if you traveled to Ayurwangsi in Ningbo and had the conditions, you could find these sharira and bow to them, and this is the Buddha's own body, right? So it's the lots of miracles happened there, including such things. Putuoshan, here we are. This is the one. Including such things as having the abbot there when the Red Guard and the Cultural Revolution came to burn down King Ashoka Monastery. What are we going to do with these priceless, ancient, genuine Buddha's relics? Well, the answer was the abbot in charge was one step ahead of the Red Guards. So he took these actual, genuine Buddha's shariras and wrapped them carefully in a pill bottle and dug a hole in the wall alongside the stairway that goes up to the second floor of the monastery here. You're looking at it there. And then he plastered over the hole, and then on top of the plaster displayed a dozen pictures of Chairman Mao, of Mao Zedong. And the Red Guards came, and then he put some replacement sharira in the hall, some beans or something. And so the Red Guards came running in. He said, up there. So they went up and grabbed the beans and took them down and destroyed them, stomped on them, burned them. And then a few years later, when the coast was clear, he removed the pictures, dug out the sharira, and replaced them. So clever monk preserved these incredible relics. I first had an opportunity to bow to them in 1989 on a tour of the sacred sites, Mount Putuoshan and then King Ashoka Monastery and the Sharira. And of the 5 monks in our group, everyone saw a different color and a different size inside the container, the sharira stupa that is used to protect them. And one of our group, of the 5, one of us saw nothing at all. A young monk who looked and looked, I don't see anything, you know. I guess I don't have affinity. So, yeah, so one of us saw purple, one of them saw something red. I saw kind of white and fuzzy. Somebody saw black sharira, but it was still lit up. And so these sharira are truly, truly amazing. Master Empty Cloud, early on, bowed to them 1,000 times a day up in the 2nd floor where these are kept. And as a result, had a response of seeing his mother in the Pure Land. So the sharira at King Ashoka Monastery, this is where you bow. They're really there. And they don't let, it's not a tourist thing. You have to really be a Buddhist to be allowed to bow to them. But this is something that is, this miracle is still happening. So, all right. Happy New Year, everybody. And if you want to make a really happy New Year, dedicate merit. Make your mind's realm, expand the measure of their minds so that more beings can have peace and joy in the year of the fire horse. So here we go. Let's do that together. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That's going to do it for us for today. We'll see you all next week. Happy New Year, everyone. 新年快乐，阿弥陀佛。